Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday update, and let's start off with a photo of the day. This is one that I took a couple weeks ago. Burnett and I went out to Lake Quinault and took a little hike on the Maple Glade Rainforest Trail. And this is a picture from the Kestner homestead. So it was a gray day, so it seemed like a black and white photo was a fitting thing to do. Let's talk about some of the announcements, things that are happening. Of course, we are coming up on Christmas, so lots of Christmas stuff going on. And probably the big thing is the Advent Conspiracy. And as you know, this is a special giving project that we do every Christmas, where we give to both a global ministry as well as to local organizations to serve our community. And so this year we have picked out one global ministry, actually the global ministry that we support every year for Advent Conspiracy, and then some locals as well. And the global ministry is Living Water International. We have so far as a church funded, I believe it's 23 wells through Living Water. And once again this year we want to give a good portion of whatever money you all raise and we come in toward Living Water to help them with their work of providing clean drinking water and also sharing the gospel with people in needy areas around the world. So there is one part of Advent Conspiracy. Then locally, we have several organizations, one of those being Volunteer Hospice of Clallam County. And as a pastor, also as a chaplain, I have dealt quite a bit with Volunteer Hospice. It's a wonderful organization. They provide such a valuable, needed service to families who are dealing with end-of-life issues. And so I think it is one of those areas where we can really be encouraging, helpful to our community by supporting Volunteer Hospice. Another organization, which we have been a longtime supporter of, is Obria Medical Clinics, formerly known as My Choices. Obria is a pro-life, faith-based pregnancy resource center. Right here, they do a wonderful job. They have clinics in Port Angeles, Sequim, and Port Townsend, and also a mobile ultrasound unit that they take all around the county. And so we just love the work that Obria does, and we're going to be giving to them as part of Advent Conspiracy as well. Then there is Habitat for Humanity. And Habitat for Humanity, again, a faith-based organization that is providing housing for people, low income, people that get involved in the Habitat program. If they're going to receive a house, they are required to come and help do the building on the house. But then a lot of volunteers from area churches and other groups get together, help with constructing that house. And then it's the money that's raised from folks like us that helps to pay for materials. And so I understand there's a project that Habitat is planning for the Sequim area. I believe it's within the next year. And they also do them in Port Angeles. And we would like to give to Habitat for Humanity to help support them. And then there is the Sequim Free Clinic. The long name is the Dungeness Valley Health and Wellness Clinic, but this provides great medical care for low-income people, and so it's another very worthy organization that is providing healing and comfort and help to those in need, and we are going to give to them out of Advent Conspiracy as well. And then one final one, and that is the Sequim Police Emergency Fund. And you might think, well, what is that all about? I can tell you that law enforcement on a regular basis runs into special needs. They meet people that are in various kinds of crisis, that have immediate needs. And this fund was set up by the Sequim Police Department a few years ago. I think it's a great idea. I have hoped that our county sheriff's department could do something like this as well. But for Sequim, they have this fund that is available to officers when they run into those kinds of emergency situations so that they can offer some help. And so we're going to give something toward that Sequim Police Emergency Fund as well. Now, how can you get involved and give to this? If you're coming to our in-person services on Sunday and you're going to make out a check, you can just put that in one of our offering boxes. I believe we're going to have one box set up this week, especially for Advent Conspiracy. Also, you can give online. There is a banner up on the website for Advent Conspiracy. If you click on that banner, you'll be taken to a page where you can donate online. There's also the donate button on our website. And if you click on the donate button, you'll find a drop-down menu. And on that drop-down menu, you can select Advent Conspiracy and give that way as well. And of course, you can send a check to the church office. And so any of those ways will work. We want to have this all wrapped up by Christmas. So this is a pretty short-term project, but you all have always been so incredibly generous. And we're just excited for an opportunity once again to treat Christmas not just as a time of year that we are receiving things, but that we are giving, because that is what God has done for us. He has given His Son to us, and this is one way that we give generously to others and express His love. So, Advent Conspiracy, I hope you'll be part of it. Sunday, we are going to continue our study of the book of Hebrews. We are almost to the end. We're at chapter 11. There's only 13 chapters in Hebrews, but we'll be looking at Hebrews 11 this week. This is what's known as the Great Hall of Faith. And if you don't know what that means, join us on Sunday, you'll find out. So either in person or online at 10 o'clock. This Saturday is going to be our Christmas house. That is our big event every year for needy families where they come here to the church, and we have a whole bunch of gifts that parents can give to kids, gifts that kids can give to parents. And this has been just a wonderful ministry. I think we've been doing this now for, it's well over 20 years that we've been doing Christmas house. And so that's happening on Saturday. If you know some needy families that would be blessed by Christmas house, please let them know, invite them to come down. I believe the doors open at 9 o'clock. Now, for families within our church that could use some help this Christmas, we have a special time for them on Friday evening. And so if you know someone who's a part of DCC and you think they would benefit from that, please let them know. They do need to register ahead of time, and all they have to do is contact the church office and just let them know they'd like to come to the Friday event for Dungeness Community Church families. And then Saturday, of course, it'll be the one that is open to the public. If you'd like to give to Christmas House, you can, again, designate a check or go online to our, I believe there's a Christmas House banner you can click on to donate, or go to that donate button, and I believe the Christmas House is still in the drop-down menu there. So we can always use the financial contributions because that is how we buy all the gifts for next year. All right. That's Saturday morning is Christmas House. Saturday afternoon, there is the DCC Kids Day at the YMCA. So Pastor Britt and Kayla, our new Children's Ministries Director, and our Children's Ministry team, they are hosting this free event at the YMCA. And so families who have children 5th grade and younger are invited to come on down. Whole family can come down, and the pool is open, the gym is open. I think there's going to be food there. And so just if you know someone, they don't have to be part of DCC even, but if they are a young family, kids 5th grade and younger, invite them to come on down to the YMCA Saturday afternoon for our Kids Day. And then coming up next Tuesday, December 14th, if you have a kid in youth group, junior high, high school, they have got their big Christmas party planned for Tuesday night the 14th. And so get the word out. Any questions about that, you can contact the church office, drop a note to Sherry Lynn or Darren Sweeney, and they can give you more details on the youth Christmas party. And speaking of Christmas, one more thing, the Christmas Eve service, which is coming up on Christmas Eve, December 24th. It's going to be at 7 o'clock in the evening. We will have an in-person candlelight service. We will also be streaming this online. And there's some beautiful music that they're planning. I'm going to be sharing a devotional thought. This is a 1-hour service, and I hope that you'll make it part of your Christmas Eve celebration. So that's coming up Christmas Eve at 7 o'clock, in person and online. How about a thought for the day? Since we're going to be in Hebrews chapter 11 this week, I thought I would share something from that. This comes from verses 13 through 16. Speaking of all these people that have been named prior to this in Hebrews 11, great men and women of faith, it says, "These all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth, They desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. I've always found that phrase interesting, that it says God is not ashamed to be called their God. Have you ever been embarrassed to be identified with someone? I've had a few instances over the years where I was with someone that was just being goofy and I kind of wished I wasn't there. I remember years ago a friend telling me about a guy he used to hang out with that thought it was really funny when he was out with his buddies to fake like he was having a medical emergency, like he was having a seizure, and he would collapse, and of course everyone would start looking, wondering what to do, and his friends then would have to gather around and pick the guy up and apologize and carry him out, and this guy thought that was just hysterical. And his friends, over time, began to think that it was less funny. And so one day he goes into this routine of collapsing, and his friends, who are tired of being embarrassed by this, all just get up and walk out and leave the guy there on the floor. Well, of course, the guy suddenly realizes he's all by himself and people are looking and they're starting to come over and they're going to call an ambulance, and he finally has to kind of come to and get up and walk out perfectly fine. And as I understand it, that was the last time he ever pulled that particular stunt. But his friends were embarrassed, they were ashamed to be with him. I thought, well, how interesting. It says here that God is not ashamed to be known as our God, that he's not embarrassed to hang out with us. And it appears that if his children had given up pursuing his promises, if they had simply settled into where they were, if they had put all their hopes and their energies into just seeking the good life as their culture, their circumstances, their hungers of the moment dictated it, rather than pursuing the best life that God had called them to, that's when God would have been embarrassed. He says God was not ashamed. He was not embarrassed to be known as their God, because they were people who were holding on to his promises. They were people that were willing to take steps of faith and to obey. And even when maybe it didn't make sense, no one else saw the wisdom in what they were doing, they knew that what they were doing was what God had called them to do. And it said, God is not ashamed to be called their God. So, I don't know what it is that God may be asking you to do this Christmas season. Maybe it's a little step of obedience. Maybe it is a big step of obedience. Maybe it's something that you're not even sure what taking that step of obedience is going to mean farther down the road. Talking about these saints of faith, it says that many of them were taking steps of faith, and when they died, they still hadn't seen the fulfillment of what they were trusting God for. But they kept trusting him right to the end. And he said God was not ashamed to be known as their God. So whatever that step of faith is that God is calling you to take, I want to encourage you to take it. Your Father loves you, and he'll be proud of you for being willing to follow him and keep taking those steps of faith. Well, I think that'll wrap us up for today. Why don't we have a word of prayer? Father, thank you that you call us, that you have a purpose and a plan for our lives. And you know what the steps of faith are that you may want us to take today. And maybe it's as simple as giving someone a call we haven't talked to in a long time and just checking up on them, encouraging them. Or maybe there's something bigger. Maybe there's some great act of generosity that you're calling us to. Maybe some great act of service that's going to mean real sacrifice for us. Lord, whatever that is, I pray that you would grant us the faith and the courage to make you proud, to take the step. And I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, that's going to wrap up our update for this week. I trust that you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you're getting those final Christmas preparations done. And I hope that we'll see you Sunday morning, either in person or online. Until then, be blessed.